They say knowledge is power, but when it comes to financial knowledge, it's a matter of your knowledge or your life. It's that important. It has the potential to transform your life more than anything else. I retired early, and in this video, I'm going to share with you how I did it so you can do it too if you want to do something similar. I've spent the last few years learning as much as I could about money and how to invest it, and actually putting it into action, which is the hardest part. We tend to stay in research mode and overthink it instead of doing the first step because we don't want to do a mistake. But mistakes are bound to happen anyway, and the longer you wait, the longer it will take you to learn from your mistakes and to make better decisions moving forward. I think there's not enough talk about how important financial independence is for your happiness. I mean, how can you be happy if you're stuck in situations that make you miserable just because you're dependent financially on your boss or on your spouse? Some people say that money can't buy happiness, but money can buy freedom. I wanted to be financially free, not to get rich and have boats and designer bags, but to have the freedom to choose. Because being rich by itself will not make you happy, but having the freedom to choose will make you happy. We've been programmed with the idea that retirement is a fixed age, and most people never question it. And society has been sending us the wrong message all our lives. And that narrative was supported by the education system, which puts zero effort into teaching us about money and investing. Truth is, retirement is not an age, it's a number. You can retire once you have enough monthly income to pay for your living costs. And the money can come in the usual way by waiting for your pension funds, or you can retire earlier if you own assets that bring in the same income or more, without you being required to work. This is called passive income. I don't really like the term passive income because there's always some effort involved in managing your assets, but that's another topic. And I get it that in this economy where prices keep going up and we're getting mixed messages about if we're in a recession or not, it can be really confusing. The headlines are telling us that according to experts, we're not in a recession yet. But we're seeing prices go up like crazy, political instability all over the world, and we're not really sure what's next. Things feel really unpredictable right now, and it makes saving money to put into investments a bit more difficult. But the sooner you start, the sooner you can break free and not rely on a job that can disappear tomorrow. So how can you make it happen? The early retirement formula is pretty simple. Earn more than you spend and invest that difference into assets that bring in monthly income. And then grow your assets until they bring in the monthly income that you need to cover your living costs. So the first thing I did was to learn how to manage my money. When I started my journey towards early retirement a few years ago, I was clueless. I remember speaking with someone at the bank and feeling completely lost because I didn't know what they were talking about. What is interest rate? What are stocks? I couldn't even imagine myself investing. It's shocking to me that this stuff isn't taught at school, and you have to be proactive and learn it on your own. I took a few finance and investment courses, and I read some excellent books. I listen to podcasts about money, and I read the financial section in the newspaper religiously every day. I became more confident as I learned, and I started asking dumb questions without feeling embarrassed. I feel that some people actually want to make things look more complicated than they really are, so they don't have to explain things in simple terms, and maybe because they want us to pay for their financial services. At that time, when I was just beginning to learn about money and investing, I really wished that I could find a role model, someone like me who started off not knowing much about finances and worked their way up. I needed someone that I could relate to and learn from without feeling overwhelmed by the financial lingo. I felt like the experts talking about finances were usually men. It made me shut down and I couldn't learn from them because I felt like I couldn't identify with them. They weren't a woman like me who was trying to figure out how to become financially independent so she can get a better life for herself. And that's why I started my YouTube channel, to share my journey and to motivate others who might be in a similar situation. All right, let's start with the basics. In order to be financially free or independent, the first step is to figure out how much you're spending to cover your monthly expenses. There's no way around it. You have to track your spending in order to figure out the retirement income you're aiming for. I've been keeping track of my budget for the last 8 years, and I can tell you to the last cent how much I spent on car maintenance every year, what my electricity bill was last month comparing to the previous year, and how much I spend on beauty and hair every month. And knowing your expenses and your living costs is a great place to start. You can do it with the help of a budgeting app, but personally, I like to keep it simple by using an Excel spreadsheet every month. The thing is not to overcomplicate it. The goal is to simply track every little expense. After you've tracked your expenses for at least a few months, you should have a better idea of where your money is going. Hopefully, you got some insights and now you're inspired and motivated to make some changes, like cutting back on unnecessary spending. The whole purpose is to keep as much money as possible in your pocket so you can invest in assets that bring in a monthly income. And to realize that every unnecessary spending is delaying your financial independence and your early retirement by days and even years. Now that you've cut on your expenses and you know what your monthly income goal is, it's time to start investing. Here's something they don't tell you. When you're putting your money in a regular savings account, you're actually losing money. And it happens in two ways. First, there's inflation, which is currently at 5% or 7% respectively in the US and the UK right now. To put it in simple words, it means that your money is losing its buying power because of inflation. $100 today won't buy you the same thing in a year from now. The other way that you miss out when you're not investing is that you don't make your money work for you. Think of every dollar you have as a little worker that works for you 24/7 without taking any breaks. Your money can earn you more money when you invest it in assets that generate income. I decided to reach financial independence by putting my money into real estate investments. There's an ongoing discussion about which is smarter to invest in, real estate or stocks. What I like about investing in rental properties is that even if the real estate market takes a dip, I still get monthly rent from my tenants. It's just my personal preference. I made my first investment in a property that was on paper, in the planning stages. There was an old building that needed to be taken down before the developer could start the new one. I bought a property in a neighborhood that was considered not so great at the time and even not so safe. But I did some research and I found a development plan for the area. What caught my attention was that all the old buildings were going to be taken down and new high-rise buildings were going to be built. And on top of that, I learned that a tram or subway station was going to be built right next to the neighborhood in the next few years. These were the two reasons why I decided to buy in that area. If you're getting value from this video so far and you're getting inspired on ways to retire earlier, please do me a quick favor. Just click on the like button below. It helps with the algorithm and the ranking. And why not subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so? Getting your first property is usually the most challenging because you don't want to make any mistakes, which of course is inevitable. You'll make them anyway. They're bound to happen. So you might as well just take action. The more you put off buying your first property, the longer it will take you to learn from your mistakes and to buy your second property, which will potentially be a better investment. Of course, you need to do your research and to study the market, but the purpose of the first property is not to make an incredible deal or to get a fantastic return on your investment. It's about dipping your toe in the water and having the courage to take action and making a few mistakes, but nothing too catastrophic that will wipe you out financially. The best way to get good at something is to actually do it. So after you've done your research, just be brave enough and take action. After buying my first rental property and experiencing that blissful feeling of the rental money coming into my bank account every month, I was hooked and I made the decision to keep investing in real estate. My plan was to repeat the process until I have enough properties to replace my regular income. I also realized that the research I did and the reasons behind selecting the properties that I bought was paying off. I bought properties in not so great neighborhoods that were close to good neighborhoods, with public transport close by or future public transport in development. And it was effective because the value of my properties increased and the neighborhoods improved over time. It took a few years of hard work, but eventually my investments in real estate started to pay off and I could retire early in my 50s. Another thing I did to achieve early retirement was to relocate to a more affordable country. I used to live in Israel, which is currently one of the most expensive countries in the OECD, not to mention the political situation and instability and who knows where it's heading. So I made the decision to move to Portugal. Portugal isn't the cheapest country out there. It certainly isn't as cheap as it used to be 2 years ago when I started coming over. But it's still much more affordable than other European countries. But I chose Portugal for many other good reasons too. Portuguese people, I find, are incredibly friendly and welcoming, and I value the sense of safety here. Portugal is ranked number 6 in the world for safety, and because almost everyone here speaks English. If you enjoyed this video, go watch my other video about how I moved to Europe and how you can do it too. And I'll see you again very soon. Take care.